there are only 4 or 5 moments that really make a difference. Moments where you're offered a choice to make a sacrifice, conquer a flaw, save a friend, or spare an enemy. Colossus, Deadpool, 2016. Have you guys seen Deadpool? It's not exactly a family-friendly cinematic masterpiece, but we're talking about leadership today, right? So I thought, is there really any better examples of leadership than superheroes? Today I want to talk about an evolution of leadership, forged by countless failures, many, many horrible mistakes, made from very dark places in a very broken mind. I grew up recently in Midland. I realize, yes, I'm 40 years old. I probably should have grown up years ago, but here we are. I've had the privilege and luxury of indulging all of my curiosities with my very short attention span with very little consequence. I dropped out of college my senior year to follow a long-haired musician all the way to Los Angeles. It was in Los Angeles that I floated like a feather in the wind and landed in the most fantastic, spectacular, inconceivable places that a blonde-haired college dropout could ever find herself in. I partied with rock stars and actors. I won The Price is Right. I went to Robert De Niro's Lifetime Achievement Awards ceremony. I called Paris Hilton a C word right to her face, and friends, she deserved it. So I got a job, this glamorous job, as a hostess at a 3-story sushi restaurant and nightclub on the Sunset Strip. And the place was huge. You guys might actually recognize it more as the Roxbury, a night at the Roxbury, yeah? When I worked there, it was Miyagi's, and now I think it's something super classy called the Pink Taco. So, on any given Friday or Saturday night, we had 50 to 60 front of the house employees, another 20 people in the kitchen, and 24 sushi chefs straight from Japan. Now, I'd only worked in this place for a couple of months and only one other restaurant prior to this, so didn't have a ton of experience. But one night, I'm standing around the podium, the hostess stand, with all the other hostesses, with the manager on duty for the evening. In walks the general manager, clearly on drugs. He quit right there, turned around, and walked back out. Very weird. Well, then the regional manager, the big guy, comes storming in moments later, bright red, fuming with rage, and he looks at the manager on duty, makes eye contact with her, and promotes her to general manager. Then he starts surveying this gaggle of hostesses, and he lands right on me, and he says, well, congratulations, you're the new manager. The new general manager was very much like Paris Hilton in that she was also a giant C word. She took me under her wing and she trained me for approximately 3 weeks, the last 2 of which were spent with me running up and down 3 flights of stairs all night, keeping the place afloat while she interviewed bartenders in her office. She was a horrible, horrible mentor. She taught me to rule with fear and intimidation. This is Los Angeles, Jessica. Don't let people walk all over you or they will eat you alive. At the end of my training, she was, not shockingly, fired for her interviews in her office. So once again, the regional manager comes storming in the building, bright red, fuming with rage, and he makes eye contact with the manager on duty and promotes her to the 2nd largest restaurant and nightclub on the Sunset Strip. I was 22. To say that I rose to the occasion and ended up being a very cool and laid-back manager leader type would be an outright lie. I I stuck to my training because I didn't know what else to do. I fired people left and right. I fired a girl because she told me she had endometriosis and was in a lot of pain and needed to go home early. Well, I'd never heard of endometriosis, so I thought she was being dramatic. I fired another girl who was a very hard worker. She missed a shift because her boyfriend had beaten the holy hell out of her. So I didn't believe her. Then I was approached by a bar back. He suggested I might dial it back a notch because now it was me, not Paris Hilton, that was the giant C word. So I fired him too. And it felt good. I felt respected. I was feared. I was so stupid. So, after 2 years, working 90-hour weeks, an actual riot with helicopters and SWAT storming the building, and on a separate occasion, being punched in the face not once but twice, I walked away from the Sunset Strip and this monster that I had become. I was 24. I was tired. I needed to come home to Texas and get my head on straight. I felt washed up and out of options, and I wasn't even old enough to rent a car. So when I say I grew up recently, I really mean it. From my mid-20s to my late 30s, I floated like a feather in the wind. But this time, nothing spectacular happened. I looked for purpose, to no avail. I searched for love, and I found it. And I searched for a toehold on my mental health, and I found it. And then I lost it, found it again, and then I lost it. I have struggled with dysthymia my whole life, my whole adult life. I call it my cocktail of crazy, right? Because it has a little bit of everything. Chronic depression, general anxiety disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder. It's a little OCD joke. By my early 30s, I was divorced, a single mom, and I worked in a job that I absolutely hated. And I was hopeless. It was a Tuesday in April, and I had a 9 a.m. meeting at the job I really hated with a woman that I really loved. We'd worked together on a couple of projects, and she was absolutely lovely. She was so smart and so fun to be around, always in a good mood, and she really loved her job, which was so foreign to me. She was so excited to get up every morning and go to work because she loved what she did, and I was really jealous of her. We worked on different floors, so I didn't see her very often, but I knew she went to Vegas the weekend before, and I was really excited to hear about her trip. So at 8:59, I sat down in her office across from her at her desk, and I listened to her stories about Carrot Top, which were good stories, which I was a little surprised because he's so weird. She told me how much money she won at the slot machines. And then by 9:17, she was dead. A brain aneurysm, just like that. Watching someone die right before your eyes is traumatizing, to say the least. So needless to say, it was right then and there I realized that life is far too short to live and work without purpose. I started Midland Mom's blog with a laser focus on mental health. Along with my regular cocktail of crazy, I struggled with postpartum, which is pretty normal, pretty common. If anybody of you ever struggled with postpartum, you know exactly how lonely and isolated it can feel. So that, coupled with the loss of my cousin to suicide, it stirred up something in me that was really powerful. I wanted mothers to know that they're not alone. Postpartum depression is common and 100% treatable. And I wanted people to know that. I want parents to learn the early signs of mental and emotional instability so that they may take action before it's too late. I never want another parent to lose a child to suicide. I realized that all this time I'd been hiding behind my mental illness. I used it as an excuse to not try, to stay stagnant. Because if I never tried, I would never fail. In therapy, we call this the aha moment, right? I've been in therapy since I was 19. I've been medicated since I was 24. I've had 2 nervous breakdowns in the last 2 years, one of which was so bad it landed me into an outpatient program at a psychiatric hospital. As of today, I have a regular psychiatrist, a counselor, a pharmacist who specializes in regenerative medicine and hormones, and a nutritionist. I have 4 people that I pay every month just to keep me alive and thriving. Can you imagine? I can't lead. I'm crazy. How do you tell the employees that the boss is crazy and needs a couple of days to get it together? How do you, as a business owner or the boss, how do you grow a team that is confident, reliable, and thriving when you yourself are not confident, reliable, or thriving? Then I thought about my kids. I never want them to think that they are not capable of chasing their dreams, or that they're alone, or that it's not okay to ask for help. Can anyone think of a word that used to be used casually, that is just reprehensible to use now? I like crazy. I catch a lot of backlash for using this word. It's a derogatory word, yeah? You can't call someone else crazy, that's insulting. You can't refer to yourself as crazy, that's self-deprecating. So why in the world would I use it all the time? And I use it all the time, with pride. It's because I hate it. I think of it like a person. No, I think of it like a monster, like a bully that follows me around everywhere I go. And I want to hold it upside down by its ankles, and I want to shake out all of the years that it stole from me out of its pockets. It lied to me. It told me I wasn't capable, told me I wasn't deserving, and I believed it for years. So when I use that word, I take away its power. I make it so small, I can fit it into my own pocket. So when it starts to whisper in my ear the same lies that it's told me over and over again, I can fight back. I've learned to be honest with my team about my state of mind. No sense in trying to hide it now. And I've lost team members. I have. Because at times I'm not confident, reliable, or thriving. And that's okay. I'm a loudmouth with a very thin filter. But I'm not going to stop talking because there are people that need to hear me. People who want to go into business for themselves. People who want to be leaders, but they suffer. Those people need to hear me. How many moments did it take you to get you to where you are? Surely more than 4 or 5. I guess the big question is, who's going to tell Colossus that he was wrong?